Let me get just a first reaction on what is a magnificent story, Sanjay. Franchise that had to come from scratch, build from scratch, going all the way in what perhaps was the most tough IPL to call, with 10 teams and all the other dynamics that were put in with the big auction. Gujarat, they're champions, and I guess they're deserving champions.
Yes, and tells you something about the auctions. You've got two conflicting, conclusions coming out of the auctions. When the auctions finished, nobody gave Mumbai Indians a chance. Everyone thought they messed up the auction, and the same was with Gujarat Titans. We were covering it live, and not too many people thought, wow, they've done really well with the selection of players, the captain. They've got, their formula right, and they go on to win it. So I think the lesson from this IPL is that you don't win an IPL title at the auctions. Mumbai Indians for a while proved that to be the right way to go. But Gujarat Titans, just the players that they gambled on and how big they have, paid back with the gamble. And that's been the story of Gujarat Titans. Hardik Pandya, big gamble. David Miller, massive gamble. And what returns from these guys?
Would you say gamble's a good word to use for the Titans? Players that we did not expect having these sorts of returns.
I think there's two parts to it. You're right. There are a number of players that potentially were underappreciated, the likes of David Miller, who is a fantastic player. At times, it's been through some tough times with Rajasthan. We've seen some players step up in certain situations. But I think back to the auction and at times critical of what they had. But in Rashid Khan and a fit Hardik Pandya, they've probably got two of the best five players in the IPL. So I think that's the cornerstone of their team, and those two have led from the front. And when you get individual players step up in T20 games, I think a team can fall into place and complement everything they did. And we think back to the start of the season with the likes of Tawadia and Rashid Khan and Miller, what they were doing, and then Tawadia fell off and Miller kept going. They picked up the pieces. Then other players kept complementing it. Shubman Gill's actually had a really good season when you look at the end of it. I think sometimes we're probably tough on him as well because the expectations are so high because of the style of player he is. But when you look at those key players, they've got exceptional players in the right place, and everything else complemented everything they did. And right from the start, they've been winners, and they've led from start to finish, and they're so deserving of this victory.
If you have to build a legacy now for a franchise, back season one up with another big season, maybe a longer season with home and away games and whatnot, what would you look for? Is Wriddhiman Saha reliable? Do you have a good enough bowling core from what you've seen in Mohammad Shami, Alzari Joseph on the bench? Yash Dayal looks promising. Is there still some room for improvement?
I think they'd like to increase that overseas player depth to give them a few more options and maybe have some players that can go to the next level in terms of that group they have. Saha is always going to be a big question because I think he's 37 now, so how much longer he's got, and he had a very good season as well. We shouldn't diminish anything he did because a lot of those games that Hardik or Miller didn't perform in, he did, and he carried them in a lot of ways. So there's something around there, and then just consistency of a bowling lineup. I like Sai Kishore. I think he's a great complementary piece to Rashid Khan. But they're going to look for slight improvements, just like every other team.
Yeah, I guess that Matthew Wade position still isn't one that you could say has been sorted, even though they've won. Sanjay, I guess they're in the market for that at the auction next?
Yes, and today that happened when they lost 2 wickets. They were like two buffer wickets. Saha was a bonus for them, and Saha did brilliantly, but he's not somebody that they were banking on. The players that they bank on are Gale, Pandya, and David Miller. So Matthew Wade, my reading is still, I think, carrying some nerves, still not relaxed, and IPL is something that he still has to conquer, I think, temperamentally. But he can be a dangerous player, so if he fires, that's fine. So Dan is right, a little more options with foreign players. Seam bowling looks good. I think there's something to like about Yash Dayal there, and Hardik Pandya bowls is always going to be saving somebody from having a bad night. Rashid Khan, Sai Kishore is a great combo, and they'll also, like Ashwin and Chahal we mentioned earlier, get more helpful pitches. So a lot of things right there.